The night of our 10th wedding anniversary was supposed to be unforgettable for all the right reasons. Friends, relatives, and co-workers filled the ballroom with laughter while soft music echoed through the air. My wife, Claire, looked stunning in a dark blue evening dress, smiling as she greeted everyone. For the first hour, everything felt perfect. Then, without warning, she quietly slipped away. At first, nobody noticed, but as the minutes stretched into an hour, whispers spread through the room. People kept asking the same question: "Where did Claire go?" I searched every hallway, every balcony, and every parking lot, but she had completely vanished, leaving behind nothing except confusion and growing fear. I tried calling her phone over and over again, but every call went straight to voicemail. My heart pounded harder with every failed attempt. Guests started inventing their own theories. Some believed she had become sick, while others quietly suggested that maybe we had argued before the party. None of them knew that our marriage had been strong, or at least I believed it was. The celebration slowly transformed into an awkward gathering filled with uncomfortable silence. Eventually, most guests left, offering sympathetic smiles before driving away. Standing alone inside the empty ballroom, I stared at the entrance doors, hoping she would suddenly appear and explain everything. Instead, only cold silence answered me. Just as I prepared to contact the police, an unfamiliar number called my phone. A calm male voice spoke only one sentence before disconnecting. "If you love your wife, don't come looking for her tonight." My blood froze instantly. Every terrible possibility raced through my mind. Was she kidnapped? Was someone threatening us? I rushed home, hoping perhaps she had returned without telling me. The house remained completely dark. Every room felt strangely lifeless, as though the walls themselves were hiding a secret. I barely slept, spent an entire night staring through the front window, waiting for headlights that never appeared while endless questions consumed my exhausted mind. The following morning, detectives arrived and began asking routine questions. They searched our home, reviewed security cameras, and interviewed friends from the anniversary party. Everyone repeated the same story. Claire smiled, excused herself for a moment, and simply disappeared. No argument, no panic, no obvious reason. Hours later, investigators found security footage showing her entering a black SUV outside the venue. Oddly, she climbed inside willingly without looking frightened. That single video changed everything. Suddenly, suspicion replaced sympathy. Even the detectives quietly wondered whether my wife had chosen to leave instead of being forced. I refused to believe that explanation because it simply didn't match the woman I thought I knew. 3 agonizing days passed before Claire finally returned. It happened just before sunrise. I heard the front door slowly creak open and rushed downstairs expecting relief. Instead, I found my wife standing motionless inside the hallway. Her dress was wrinkled. Her makeup had disappeared, and dark circles surrounded her tired eyes. She looked directly at me, but said absolutely nothing. Even stranger, she seemed terrified to step farther into the house. Tears rolled silently down her face before she whispered only 4 chilling words. "They're watching us still." Every emotion inside me shifted instantly from anger to fear because I knew she truly believed those words. Before I could ask another question, Claire reached into her purse and handed me a small flash drive with trembling hands. "Don't plug this into our computer," she whispered. "Take it somewhere safe." Her voice sounded broken, almost unrecognizable. She refused to explain anything else. Instead, she begged me to promise that nobody could know she had returned. Nothing made sense anymore. If someone had truly threatened her, why release her? Why secretly give me evidence? And who exactly were they? Every answer seemed buried beneath another terrifying mystery. I realized our nightmare had only begun, and whatever waited inside, that flash drive could completely change our lives forever. Later that afternoon, I drove nearly 50 miles to a public library and borrowed one of their computers. My hands shook as I inserted the flash drive. What appeared on the screen left me completely speechless. Instead of personal photos or random documents, it contained hundreds of financial records, hidden surveillance videos, and secret conversations involving several respected businessmen, including Claire's own employer. The files exposed years of fraud, bribery, and money laundering worth millions of dollars. Near the end was a recorded message from Claire herself. Looking directly into the camera, she calmly said, "If you're watching this, it means I escaped, but they won't stop until every copy disappears." Suddenly, her disappearance made horrifying sense. After leaving the library, I realized we were no longer dealing with an ordinary disappearance. Claire had accidentally uncovered a criminal network far larger than either of us had imagined. Weeks before our anniversary party, she had discovered suspicious financial transactions while working late at her office. At first, she assumed they were accounting errors. But the deeper she investigated, the more she realized several powerful executives were secretly laundering money through fake companies. Before she could report everything to the authorities, someone discovered what she knew. On the night of our anniversary, they lured her outside with a fake emergency message and forced her into the waiting SUV, determined to recover every piece of evidence. Claire finally explained what had happened during those missing days. They never intended to kill her immediately because they believed she had hidden copies of the files somewhere. They questioned her for hours inside an abandoned warehouse, demanding passwords and storage locations. She repeatedly insisted she had already sent the evidence to someone they could never find. That was only partly true. Before leaving for the anniversary party, she had secretly copied every document onto the flash drive hidden inside her purse. The kidnappers searched her belongings carelessly, but overlooked the tiny device sewn into the purse lining. That single mistake would eventually destroy everything they had built through years of corruption. Knowing time was running out, we contacted a trusted federal investigator instead of the local police, fearing someone within the department might already be compromised. The investigator listened carefully before examining every document on the flash drive. Within hours, multiple agencies became involved. Search warrants were approved, financial accounts were frozen, and surveillance teams quietly surrounded several office buildings connected to the organization. Meanwhile, Claire and I were placed inside a secure location under constant protection. Every passing hour felt endless as we waited for news. Neither of us spoke much because we both understood that one careless mistake could still allow dangerous people to escape justice forever. 3 days later, the operation finally unfolded. Before sunrise, law enforcement officers raided offices, luxury homes, storage facilities, and warehouses across the city. Television stations interrupted regular programming with breaking news coverage, showing executives being led away in handcuffs. Millions of dollars in cash, illegal financial records, encrypted computers, and hidden weapons were seized during the coordinated raids. The criminal organization that had operated unnoticed for years collapsed in a single morning. Watching the news together, Claire quietly squeezed my hand without saying a word. We both knew that if she had surrendered the evidence instead of protecting it, none of those arrests would ever have happened. The weeks that followed were filled with court hearings, witness interviews, and constant security precautions. Claire testified against the organization despite receiving anonymous threats intended to frighten her into silence. She never backed down. The prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence gathered from the flash drive alongside additional documents recovered during the raids. One by one, the defendants accepted plea agreements rather than face trial. Others were convicted after lengthy court proceedings. Families who had lost money through the fraudulent schemes finally received justice, while the men responsible watched their fortunes disappear. The truth Claire risked everything to protect had become impossible for anyone to bury again. Months later, life slowly returned to normal, although neither of us would ever forget those terrifying days. People who had attended our anniversary party often told us they still remember the night Claire disappeared without explanation. They had spent years wondering what really happened after she vanished. Now they finally knew the truth. She had not abandoned her family or betrayed our marriage. She had survived unimaginable danger to expose powerful criminals and protect innocent lives. Looking back, I realized that the mystery of her disappearance had changed both of us forever. Some nights begin with fear, but they end by revealing extraordinary courage hidden inside ordinary people.